Come along and ride this train. Come along and ride this train. Cross the mountains, prairies, reservations, rivers, levees, plains. Come along and ride this train. Ride this train. Ride this train with me through the stormy pages of history that were written by the mighty iron horse, the train. From the days of its birth, nothing has been so important to the growth of this country as the railroads and the great locomotives that carried the settlers, their goods, and their dreams to the four corners of America. East, west, north, and south, the rails and the cross ties ran, following the trails of the pioneers before them, or breaking new ground for those who would follow later. The land was young, and so were the railroads. They grew up together. And the sound of that big eight-wheeler with their low, lonesome whistles forever became a part of the American dream. From the boat docks of New England to the California sand, from the coal mines of Kentucky to the Arizona Badlands, from the cities in the Northland to the rolling Texas plains, this land grew up with the coming and the going of the train. Some welcomed the iron horse, others hated it. Some prospered by it, others lost. See that young Sioux brave sitting up there on that paint horse, looking down at those new shiny rails, those rails that have just cut his homeland in half. Put yourself in his place. I am just an Indian, but once this was my land. Now it's been taken from me by the coming of the white man. And anger makes my blood run hot and heavy in my veins every time I think about the coming of the train. In spite of the battles that were fought against them, the trains did come. They took root, and they were here to stay. Nothing could stop them now. Times were changing, and with the new times came new people, new ideas, and new ways of life. I'm an Oklahoma cattleman, have been for 30 years. Now the trains are full of passengers with settlers stopping here. They string their bloody barbed wire all across my open range, and I'm fenced in by the coming and the going of the train. The railroads were the very lifeblood of the nation. Everything was sent by the rail: timber, beef cattle, cotton, and grain. They carried dry goods, food, and water. They delivered the mail. Sometimes they even had money on board. Ask Cole Younger, outlaw, he knows. Well, the day was hot and dusty in the year of '69, as we heard a whistle blowing somewhere way down the line. That was the year I rode with Frank and Jesse James, and we waited for the coming and the going of the train. Yes, the railroads affected the life of every man, woman, and child in this country. From hobo to millionaire, Indian to cowboy, from outlaw to housewife. So important were the trains to the life of America that many people believe that because the North had railroad superiority, the outcome of the Civil War was decided by that single fact alone. Anyway, it can't be denied that without the great days of the railroads, things would be far different than what they are today. Much of the country will still be a wild and unexplored place. Our great cities would not be here. And of course, none of the many powerful songs, stories, and poems that tell of the magic of the trains would ever have been written. Wabash Cannonball, Wreck of the Number 9, Orange Blossom Special, Rock Island Line, Wreck of Old 97, Freight Train Blues, Casey Jones moving on, and the Chattanooga choo-choo. From the Carolina seacoast to the Florida lagoon, from the green hills of Montana to the dry Nevada sand dunes, from the Blackland cotton delta to Dakota's golden grain. This land grew up with the coming and the going of the train. This land grew up with the coming and the going of the train. Much of my own life has been affected by the railroads and by the coming and the going of the trains. I can remember when I was 3 years old, an uncle of mine let me ride in the engineer's cab with him down on the Cotton Belt Railroad in southwest Arkansas. That experience was such a thrill for me then that it stayed with me all my life. And even today, the sound of that low, lonesome whistle brings back memories of my childhood. When you hear that old train whistle going, what do you think of? To most people, it brings back memories of some forgotten yesterday. And though it may mean different things to different people, there's no doubt that on each of us, it's had a way of casting its mysterious spell. The drifter at the water tank, the crowds round the station door, lovers waving their last farewell, soldiers on foreign shores. The lonely poet in the night writing his sad refrain. Yes, they've all been touched by the coming and the going of the trains. Come along and ride this train. Come along and ride this train. Across the mountains, prairies, reservations, rivers, levees, plains. Come along and ride this train. I know a land where mountain streams are running free. I know a prairie where there's miles between each tree. I know some people you would love to get to know. Come along with me and go. Come along and ride this train. Come along and ride this train. Across the mountains, prairies, reservations, rivers, levees, plains. Come along and ride this train. So long, Casey Jones. So long, Hobo Bill. Hey, Porter.